and welcome to Geek Speak with Envision IT, a podcast for business leaders and technology experts that like to stay on top of the latest security news and listen to interviews with insightful industry leaders. I'm Bill Crane, Chief Stakeholder Architect and CTO at Envision IT. Let's get started. We want to welcome Bo Smithback, the Chief Stakeholder Strategist here at Envision IT. Bo, today I think we want to talk a little bit about local admin password solution, also known as LAPS.
Yeah. Hey, Bill. This has been something that's popped up recently on our radar. And I think to describe what it is, it's best to describe maybe what the problem is. If you look at how most companies are set up with local administrative passwords, both on servers and on their workstations. So these are machines that aren't using domain authentication or accounts that don't use domain authentication. A lot of times people will have like a standard build and they'll use the same password certainly on all of the workstations, and in a lot of cases, they'll actually use those same local admin passwords on servers as well. So they'll have a single password that can access every bit of data. And where that becomes really, really concerning is that it's pretty common for users to, click on a phishing email and maybe get some sort of malware on their machine. And once you have that, oftentimes those local administrative credentials can be compromised. And if everything is shared, now you have someone that has more or less administrative access to every computer on your network, and they can move laterally. So not only is that machine and all of the data theirs compromised, but it's really everything because they can use that one password that they've compromised to access everything. So all of these, great password expiration policies and password length requirements, none of that matters anymore because they have access to every single machine. So that's the problem that we're trying to solve. And the other challenge to that is that often, as people leave in IT organizations, those passwords don't change. So not only do you have a problem like in that moment, but you have a problem that perpetuates where people have access that they shouldn't have long after the fact.
Right.
And so that's the problem. And so what Microsoft has done, and this is a free product that you can do, it's an extension to Active Directory, which is for every domain joined computer and server, it will assign a random password using a password policy to every single device. So every server on your network, every computer on your network has its own password. It's very easily rolled out with GPO and a little schema extension. And it rotates regularly. So even if it's compromised for a period, that password will be automatically updated. And then you need Active Directory credentials with very specific permissions to see what the password is at that moment. So you have a central repository for what all the passwords are. You can log in using your AD account, get the password for that device, and then connect to it. So it prevents lateral movement for any sort of compromise. It limits the scope of an infection to a single server if a local admin password is compromised. And there's really no cost to it. The level of effort is building a GPO, extending the schema, and less than a day of effort, you can usually have a POC going.
Yeah, so there's really no reason not to do it, right?
No, I mean, there's some challenges that you have to deal with. A lot of people will do like scheduled tasks and use local administrative credentials. So it's not something where you can just turn it on and expect maybe nothing to break.
Sure.
But if you've done best practices along the way, it's a really easy way to rename all the admin accounts that you're not using the same one, assign a random password, and then just sort of limit that lateral movement that can happen during a compromise.
Got it. So like anything, I guess some upfront planning and maybe some testing, and then really no cost from a product or licensing standpoint to move forward.
Yeah. And again, there are some better ones out there like CyberArk, but those are very, very expensive. And oftentimes people will not select those, or they'll push it off just due to budget constraints. So this is a great way to at least get started. And we've rolled it out a few times now with really good success.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it's one of those products that it's pretty powerful that yet maybe not a lot of people have heard about it yet. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you have any questions or you have future topics you'd like us to cover, please connect with us via the link in the show notes. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time on Geek Speak with Envision IT.